Well, good evening and welcome to the Island Stats Football Show. I'm joined this evening with Garrett Punchy Deal, Danica Gibbons, Macy O'Deal, and we are awaiting Nikita Robinson to join us, Coach Keita. But interesting weekend of football. I'm going to run down the score starting last night in the Premier Division. It was the Dandytown Hornets 2, North Village Rams 2. Staying in Premier Division today, it was Southampton Rangers 0, PHC Zebras 1, St. George's Colts 1, Crossroads 1, Devonshire Colts 0, Devonshire Cougars 0, Somerset Trojans 1, Somerset Eagles 0. In the First Division, it was Hamilton Parish 1, Boulevard Blazers 0, St. David's 2, Vasco 1, and Young Man Social Club 4, Flanagan's Onions 0. So it's been a weekend of plenty of action. We witnessed last night, North Village looked as if they had worked out that a plan to combat what happened on Wednesday night in the Dudley semifinal, where they lost 4-0 to the Dandytown Hornets. But then a lapse late in the match saw Dandytown score 2 late goals. First of all, Punchy, I want to get your opinion on that match from Wednesday night to the performance of last night for both teams.
Hey, great. Well, the Wednesday night game is definitely as I had predicted, that the speed and the open spaces that Dandytown had, they had so much time on the ball, so much time, and Village, and then North Village did regain possession. They played they played a lot of squirt passes. It was like almost like, okay, I can play as well as you. With the amount of passes. I thought also that they didn't match them for intensity on Wednesday night. Kenny, as I said last week, Kenny, you're not gonna fool Kenny twice. So what he did, what I noticed last night, Macy was to the game, that I was very happy with the performance and the intensity of North Village, what they did also tactically. I noticed that they played Keyshawn and they played Mr. Smith this year. What was so noticeable, that instead of playing 4 passes square and then into the midfield, they elected to go in between over the top, and it caused Dandytown quite a bit of problems. And it's like, oh my God. So in the first half, I thought we could have, North Village could have been up easily. That score could have been 3-1. So Kenny did do his homework. I saw much more intensity. They pushed higher up on when the ball comes into the midfield with Judah Webb, who does really possess a real good knowledge of the game. Mm-hmm. I thought Jonathan Bryce pushed up in a lot and played a very good game. But I thought overall, Kenny had done his homework. Yeah. In terms of that result.
Right. Maceo, looking at last night's match, obviously, as Punchy has said, Kenny done his homework, and looking at it, what did you think of the last, I would say, 45 minutes? Because when Village went up 2-0, we've seen this over the last, 2 weeks ago when they played Crossroads, up comfortable, looking comfortable, but then it's a lapse, and all of a sudden, it's 2-0.
What happens, and I have to lay fault at coaching decisions and substitutions during those times. When you reflect on the Crossroads match, Village looked very comfortable moving forward, and a substitution bringing on Keyshawn Bean against Crossroads. Now you lose mobility. You lose the ability to go over the top and get over the back. So what happens is, when you lose that mobility, it allows the other team to come forward at you. And now you're on the defensive rather than on the attack. And the same thing happened last night against Dandytown, where the initial game plan was perfect, spot on that Kenny got. So that means the preparation was spot on. 2-0 up, and against Kwame made a tactical switch, and bringing on the winger that he brought in that is prepared to run behind. And once Danny Tom was prepared to run behind, it put a little pressure on North Village, and they opened North Village up, and now it's 2-1. At 2-1, North Village is under the cosh, and on comes Rai Simmons, who's nursing an injury. He's not got mobility at this time, so the game didn't call for his ability. So once you bring in Rai, you're not got that mobility to go forward. So now you're on the defensive. Rai actually was 2 seconds, 3 seconds late and gave up the free kick that led to the goal for Deniton. So again, it gets back to coaching decisions at certain times. Whereas if you watch what Kwame did, the technical moves that he made to change to impact the game, bringing on that winger that was prepared to run behind, also bringing on the outer statesman in Zion Darrow that sat him back and started spraying balls forward and pushing Deniton farther. So what I've learned over the time about some coaches, they have a game plan and they prepare well for that game plan, but they're not analyzing what's actually happening in the game and adjusting. They play out the game plan. So I give you an example of what I mean. Arsene Wenger was great at preparing his team. Now later in his tenure at Arsenal, he got rid of the likes of Henry, Patrick Vieira, because in his brain and based on science that they had run, as far as their body and what science was saying, they had run their course. But getting rid of those players now impacted the transitional piece of Arsenal. So the point that I'm making, coaches have a plan and sometimes don't adjust. And that's the thing that I see out of Kenny a lot. He has a great plan and he prepares well to implement that plan. But during the game, he doesn't adjust well when things are happening.
Right. Danica, we're going to come down to St. George's because obviously, like we said last week, we knew both teams would struggle to score. And one of our things was if St. George's scored, they stood a chance of winning. And, they've scored their second goal of the year, and Crossroads has scored their third goal of the year. But give us an overall, I guess, opinion on the match itself.
After watching St. George's play the last couple of games this season so far, I thought this was probably one of the second games that they played considerably well after watching them play against Village. This would be the second game, but they had Crossroads in the first half. I mean, as usual, they have their chances. Don't put them away. Crossroads, if they really should have beat us more than 1-0.
Right.
Considering, having Lele and Donovan up front, they were getting the ball nice. Lele was getting the ball nice, but his shot on goal and his last finishing was not good. And thanks to Freddie, without Freddie and St. George's goal, Lord knows what it would be.
Yeah, I've noticed. Actually, I think Maceo, you watched Crossroads play North Village, and I think we had this similar idea that these guys are getting in positions, but for some reason it's not working out. Is it the system? Is it just bad luck? What would you put it down to?
I put it down again to earning their respect and mentality. So I'll give you what I mean about a mentality. When I interviewed the Crossroads coach, right, and he recognized that he had Village on the ropes, he made the decision to say, "Hey, let's pull back and let's get something out of the game. Let's make sure we get a point out of this game because this is the big powerhouse Village, and I'm comfortable with that." So now you have to have a mentality. The team has to take on the personality of a coach. The team does take on the personality. So if you have a mentality that, okay, I'm just happy to be here, then that's what's going to come out of the team. You have to have a mentality that we're going to be here and we're going to win. And Crossroads as a club, as a coach, don't have that mentality yet that they're going to win because they do have the quality player. So, for instance, North Village has a mentality that they're going to win. They do, even if they're playing bad. Danny Ton has the mentality that they're going to win, even if they're playing bad. PHC has that mentality. Crossroads just don't have that mentality.
Right. Coach Keita, good night. How are you?
Good evening.
Good,
I'm good.
good.
Thanks.
Did you get the rundown of the scores today, or you me run them down again for you?
Yeah, I got the
Okay.
rundown.
Which out of those games, obviously in the Premier Division, they were considered a Derby Sunday. But looking at it, which one stands out for you?
PAC victory. Do I believe I picked PAC to win it? But the PAC victory over Rangers, we knew that was going to be a match of the weekend. I actually went and watched Cougars and Devonshire Colts, but PAC and Rangers was definitely the standout. And it could have gone either way, but I think we hit the nail on the head last week when we discussed PAC and what their ability to do. That's a high emotion game. Out of all the derbies, that's going to be the highest emotion game for many reasons. So that result is the one that did stand out for me. I thought that Cougars would have taken Colts, but the loss of Juande Bascom so early in the match kind of took a bit out of Cougars.
Yeah, we watched Juande, who had a major impact in Cougars' game in the semifinal, and I've kind of been impressed with, because I've seen Cougars play 3 times this year. The first time without him, and the 2 times I'm seeing him play, he's made a considerable difference in that team, especially holding the ball up front and still being allowed to take on players and just have that freedom. But Punchy, did you see Devonshire Cougars Wednesday night as well?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that. I saw.
And you said you watched the second half.
I saw probably about the last maybe 20 minutes against Somerset up there.
Right.
I probably have to add a little something about what I've seen about, let's say, about number 10s or number 9s, the center for the strikers in Bermuda now, what I witnessed. I've seen some incredible misses that it's like I have to put my hands on my eyes, seriously. So now, let's say the team has been very organized now. You need an out-and-out striker. The Runde, the other night, just against, I've seen him missed unbelievable chances. So I would say, throughout Bermuda, who would you say that is a critical finisher now? Like a complete finisher. Just a complete finisher in the 18-yard box. I don't see that in this country anymore. That's what I'm saying. The amount of chance I saw against, even let's say against what I watched against Devonshire Colts today. Again, just like this North Village, very creative, very young team. But you can put the line across the 18-yard box against the opposition, they ain't gonna get that many goals. There's a lack of quality in center forwards in Bermuda. I mean, guys that end up like Gumbo Bean, guys like Kyle Lightburn, those strikers that know in a country like Bermuda, the 10 teams, 8 teams, I'm getting 30 goals or 25, something close. I'm not seeing that now. And I'm telling you, what I've seen thus far, chances have been created. The other night, again, going back to North Village, quite a bit of, I thought that Keyshawn missed quite a few goals. Keyshawn Bean is still getting his legs. But again, I'm not seeing that right now. Most of the teams that are playing in this league. If you're at St. George's, Jerron Dixon has scored 2 goals. And he's not a center forward. So I'm still questioning what team that we see in this country now. I've got an out-and-out striker that comes up with 25 goals a season. I don't see it here now.
Yeah. What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about just that. And I think, Macy, you can help because you're part of the Coaches Association. That I think now we're worried more about how we play as opposed to how we're going to finish games off. So we're going to take a commercial break. Be right back.
We've already sung the praises of Welch's famous grape juice, so healthful and refreshing, a truly great family favorite. So with the festive season fast approaching, remember to stock up on Welch's sparkling juice cocktails, flavorful and thirst-quenching, another celebration of the greatness of the grape. The Welch's white, red, and rosé are all wonderful on their own, but for a special seasonal treat, try Welch's sparkling juice cocktail in festive punch recipes, garnished with cinnamon sticks or fresh cranberries. All non-alcoholic and also festive. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Well, welcome back. We will be joined at the bottom of the hour by John Barry Newsom, the head coach of Robin Hood, who still are the league leaders after this weekend, and they didn't kick a ball, but we'll get to that. But just on what Punchy was saying, Maceo, and I'll ask you as well, Keita, because we're so into now a style of play that I think we've gone away from how we finish play. Is that, am I on the right line and going on with Punchy, Maceo?
I'll explain it. Our youth structure and our coaching structure is so obsessed with passing the ball. You know, they're so obsessed with building a team. So right from Pee-wees, we're building a team. Pass the ball. You heard this language. Pass the ball. Do this. And here's the other thing that happens. A kid that plays and gets 5 goals and doesn't pass the ball, they call him greedy. They call a 10-year-old, 8-year-old greedy. So psychologically, you're giving negativity to a kid that doesn't pass the ball and learns how to score and wants to score and is hungry to score. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you raise a player that's not comfortable scoring or doesn't want to score, that pass or doesn't have the abilities to score. So you raise players that are looking to pass all the time, and you don't raise that greedy player. You don't raise that Carl Lightborn, that Sammy Swan, that Charlie Emery, that player that's hungry to score a goal. And remember where those players were raised. Those players were not necessarily raised in club systems. They were raised in neighborhoods. So you couldn't regulate somebody in a neighborhood scoring 5 goals. Yeah. If you're playing in the backyard, you could score 5 goals, 10 goals if you wanted, and not pass the ball. So it comes from that. So we have to start to implement the idea of being a goal scorer and being comfortable for goal scorer and how to score from our youth ranks.
Coach Keita, can you add to that? Because I know as a national coach, the only way to win a game is to finish it off. But as Punchy, as Maceo has said, we're caught up now in trying to play attractive football, and I think we're missing out on the finishing of football.
Definitely, a lot of time isn't even being spent on finishing. I went watch my son's team play yesterday, and the boy and his team missed a penalty. But how much time is being spent on practicing penalties? You're right. With the evolution of the game, we are spending more time on teaching how to play football, building out of the back. And I'll be honest, a lot of time is not spent with our strikers. I mean, in the B license, you have a whole unit that's based on finishing. Actually, 2 could be based on finishing, crossing and finishing, and striker movements. But I find a lot of times we spend time on building out of the back or possession in the middle third, teaching teams how to keep the ball. But our strikers are not getting much practice. There's no real emphasis on that. It happens once or twice, but you are correct. A lot of time is based on or spent on possessing the ball, playing in the middle third. And I agree with Maceo on the part about calling little players greedy. We do teach them to pass. And now we get to a point where they get older and we tell them, keep the ball until your direct opponent forces you to pass. But when they're coming through, it's pass. You look for a pass, get the ball, look for a pass. And so now it's like, and they developed a sense of they get afraid to shoot because if they miss, somebody's screaming at them because they shot and they missed. So it's a whole lot that goes into why we don't have any really good finishes. In training with the national teams, the defenders, if the defenders have to win the ball and dribble it up to the halfway line or pass it to a target person at the halfway line, defenders are winning training session matches. Strikers they're not even creating chances a lot. So it's something that we definitely have to look at. And I speak with Dankins and Vance about it a lot and saying, like, guys, we may have to separate the training sessions. Someone go work with the offense and just let's work on finishing so that it becomes natural so they understand what it's like to even finish. We celebrate when one of the girls scored from a corner the other night. Ball hit the ground and it was a half volley and she put it in the back of the net and it was great. But it's not something that we worked on. It's just something that actually happened. And I think a lot of times we hope that it actually just happens. I look at these scores. I mean, this weekend was very low, aside from Social Club. 1 or 0. That's kind of, well, no, Village and Town was 2-2, but that's kind of alarming that we don't have like that out and out. And it's a real question. Who in Bermuda can we say right now is an out and out finisher? I don't know.
Yeah. Danica, I want to come back to you because you would have gotten to see Hamilton Parish play as well. And of course, Jordan Otterbury had scored the lone goal, his 8th of the season. But looking at the overall performance of a team like Hamilton Parish, end up playing Boulevard, winning 1-0. Parish have been running teams off the park. Do you think what Boulevard was able to put together today kind of stifled Hamilton Parish a bit, or Hamilton Parish just missed a whole bunch of chances?
Yes, they did stifle us a bit. I wasn't expecting us to get a whole pile of goals like we did the last time. Considering the teams that were playing so far this season, and the game's been slower. Boulevard came today. The pace was much faster. So pretty much having to keep up. But all in all, I mean, we played our normal game. And Boulevard got to the point where they started arguing amongst themselves. They was fighting one another, So, and I think that's what afterwards probably let them down a bit. Having to get at each other, during the game.
Maceo, you were at the second half of the PHC Southampton Rangers match. Were you there when the penalty was missed?
Yeah, I was there. When the penalty was missed. Interesting.
Selection of taker.
Selection. Now, what happened? To be fair to the penalty taker, he stepped up. What you saw is all the senior players backed away from the penalty. The captain. Trey Mean was off the field. Trey would have probably stepped up.
Dion was injured on the play.
Dion Stavo was for me. He was injured, and then after the penalty, he wasn't injured anymore. Yeah. He came back on the field. So, all the senior players stepped back, and the young gentleman stepped up to take it. So kudos to him. But it was a poor penalty.
Oh yeah,
it was definitely a poor penalty, and that could have been game changing. In those situations, you look at it from two different ways. When I see that as a coach, usually I would allow the person that is confident enough. But when I see that the wrong person's taking it, then I have to get in between that and force somebody that I feel comfortable of taking it. So I've done it both ways. As long as the right person's stepping up to take it, I'll be comfortable. Otherwise, I'll intervene and force who needs to take that.
But you know what? The funny part about that was the coach actually came on the field to attend to Dion, and all the Rangers players were huddled around. It was at that time I think he should have selected who should have taken that penalty. If the guy that was left on the field, if it came up a penalty, was actually being taken off because he was hobbling, he should have picked somebody. And because the guy put the ball down on the spot and never came out of the penalty spot, he stood there.
Yeah, well, let's look at cleverness as a coach. Let's reflect on Andrew Bascom coaching Boulevard, and when he used to take over the job as a medic, not allow the medic to come on the field, and he'll come on the field to give information.
Yes,
because he was reading the game and reading what's happening in the game. So he'll be clever enough to come on the field and say A, B, and C, and go off the field.
Right.
He'll use the medic. So again, it was a whole disorganization of Rangers altogether to not get that right, because that was a clear opportunity to get back into the game that they were really not in.
Okay, we're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by John Barry Newsom, who's standing by. We'll be right back.
Coconut oil has been popular here in Bermuda as a skin moisturizer for generations, but is sometimes avoided in cookery because of its unhealthy reputation. We've witnessed a change in attitudes as recent findings indicate that coconut oil is actually heart healthy and can enhance our immune systems, increase metabolism, energy and endurance, and improve digestion. Nutiva coconut oil is a superfood in its own right, and this month we're featuring Nutiva organic shortening made with organic coconut and red palm oils and also hemp seed oil. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. And again, we did promise we will have John Barry Newsom joining us. Well, good evening, John. How are you this evening?
Hey, good evening. Everything's lovely. Cool, can't complain.
Good.
Evening, everybody.
Couldn't have been a better weekend for you. Going into the weekend, you were on top of the table, and of course, you're looking and saying, okay, well, what's the worst case scenario? We'll be in second at the end of the weekend, but you come out, you're still on top. How looking at your season thus far, how have things been materializing for the unit you're able to put out there week in and week out?
For me, I think as a team, we've been playing, decent football. Definitely can get better. But like you said, the result on Saturday night was a positive result for us in the draw with Dandytown and Village. Both of the teams doing very well in the league and really looking to push us on as well. But like I said, we got a lot of things to still work on, which is a positive for us being in the position we're in now. That we're not looking at it as though we play great football and we don't have much to work on. We're looking at it as a place from weakness of these are the things we've got to work on and let's get better. Let's go out and get better so that we can try to put some space between our teams. We actually play Village next and then Dandytown right after that as well. So the next few weeks will be real telling on how these seasons going to pan up first.
Yeah, your last outing you played St. George's on a wide open Wellington Oval, although a bit smaller in size, in length. But the first half you guys were able to knock the ball around and you kept St. George's second guessing. What changed at halftime? Was it more let's just get through this here? We've got a week off to work on other things.
I wouldn't even say that, to be honest. I think it was just a little bit more being timid in front of the goal, and so we still caused a few opportunities, but we just don't really have the killer instinct. I'm being honest with you, and so there's been a lot of games so far this season that we've been playing, and we kept these scores relatively close. Where it made it a derby at the end of it. One game that sticks out is the Southampton Rangers game that we drew. We were up 2-0 in that game where we had a few chances to make it 3. We don't do that. They get one goal, then the pressure starts coming back on us. Momentum's a big thing in football, and so I think we definitely could be a little bit more ruthless in front of goal when we get those opportunities.
Well, before you ask a question, Macy, I just want to make a comment. Do you realize it's 3 weeks in a row that we've had draws on the Saturday night at BAA Field? Who's in front against 4-4? You guys in Rangers 2-2, Town and Village 2-2.
Yeah, the air is a little thinner. I think it's around like 7:30 p.m. Air starts getting a little thin out here.
So real quick, it's well known that teams take on the personality of the coaches. With your team, it's very organized, a very organized team. Tactically, it's very organized. You see, they're prepared. They're prepared well. They're a fluent bunch. They make very good decisions. Again, all the pieces of you as a person and personality. But as you say, your team is lacking ruthlessness. Where does the ruthlessness come from to win matches? Because there is an expectation with your quality of coaching and the quality of players you got that you win the league. Where do you get the ruthlessness from? How do you build that?
And I can follow right along what you said. It's probably the personality of the coach. No, I'm gonna say myself. I'm not a person that yes, I want to as far as competition, I get in. But again, I think at times I'm a little bit too nice to the players, and I think that filters over as well because we want everything to gel as well. And so it's tough as a coach. You have to focus on so many aspects of the personality of your different players. You got 11 players on the field, but you got 11 different personalities as well. You got to be able to blend all of them together. And so the ruthlessness is one of those that's almost a little bit more cutthroat. And for me as a coach, and this is me doing my own self-analyzing, that's one of the weaker points of my coaching aspect that I need to work on. So maybe you're right as far as it is a reflection of the coaching team. But on the other hand of it, at times you just got players that just have it. So I'll give you an Antoine Russell. He has that in him. I'll give you John Simmons. He has that in him. These are players that have had the past. And so right now it's just not taking for us right now as far as being ruthless. But again, for me, we're getting into these positions, we're getting into spaces that we need to get into to get in these situations. Now we just got to do the other side of it.
Yeah. I saw Punchy, you were taking a note just now. Punchy, go ahead.
Yes, a couple of questions. How you doing, John? How are you? Yeah, good. A couple of questions. I have picked your team. I've seen you. I think your organization. I think what you've been able to create at Robinwood football's been really good to watch. Also, my question to you is the national team captain, I believe, that came back from Poland. I believe. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he signed a half on it. Yeah, Dante Lover. Yeah, he seemed like he was struggling physically a little bit. You know, I watched him against St. George's.
So he picked up an injury early in the season.
Yeah, the other question I want to ask you is your seniority. Like Northridge, in age-wise, I think you're like Northridge, one of the oldest teams in the league. But I still think in terms, I expect your team, just like Robin Hood and Northridge, to play more of the senior. I still think that in me answering this question about the senior players and quality that you have compared to Denny Tom with a lot of youthful players, I still look at your team being one of the better senior teams in this country. And they play, and I've been very impressed. Do you think that I still think that you have an A+. I didn't think that your team is one of the better teams in this country right now. And under your leadership, they do play very good.
Yeah, I think having senior players does make a huge difference, if I'm being honest, because a little bit of maturity that comes to the game as well. Knowing when to speed up the play, knowing when to slow it down, knowing when the momentum's against you, knowing when with the momentum and you can push on a little bit. So it's tough for a person that's 22, 23 to be able to understand the facets of a game. I think when you're younger, you're more just in tune with getting the ball and playing quickly, getting on the ball. Whereas as you get older, and I can say this now as an older player, when I got older, you're able to see the game outside the lines a little bit more. So you're able to see the game more as a coach, I guess you could say. So having senior players definitely helps because we actually have a lot of younger guys that are coming through the U17 program. We're looking to plug in, and now they have a base. And then when I grew up, that's what you did with senior football. You weren't coming into a team at 16 and automatically playing, which is happening a lot these days. Where you have 16-year-olds that are the top 3 or 4 players in the teams nowadays. You had a little bit of you had to go through your lumps first. You take a couple of kicks before you could get to the senior team. From the older players that were a lot of them 30+ years old, and you just been told to in any type of ways. So I think it's a lot to say for having senior players in and around the team that can bring up the younger guys. And for us, we got Antoine Russell still around the team, and it's a huge influence as far as getting a lot of the younger guys to kind of buy in early. We had a young player, Adrian Trott, that played his first match against St. George's last weekend, and to see us starting to filter in those younger guys, especially at Robin Hood, where the program hasn't been as successful as the more villages and Danny Towns of the world. It's good to get those younger players in, but you also need to have that older player that can kind of push them in some good steps.
Yeah. Coach Kitty, you got a question?
No, actually, I'm happy for you, JD. Sorry about the baby in the background, guys. Yeah, I should double duty, sir. I want to ask, like, numbers at training, because I've talked to a few, and believe it or not, there are a few teams that they have 3 or 4 guys that's just showing up to training. How are your training sessions, and how are you keeping the players motivated? I know being on top is probably easier to keep players motivated. But what is the sessions like? What's the intensity like? Just those types of things, because it's kind of heartbreaking when I talk to senior players and guys are not showing up to training. It's just the 3rd or 4th game of the season. So what is it like for you?
luckily we haven't had that issue. To be honest, I actually get the guys together during the summer. We just have little kicks over at BAA, just kind of bring everybody in and around. And like I said, having these senior players around actually pushes that button for me, because the senior players are saying, hey, it's an expectation. If you're playing for us, it's an expectation of you to be here training. And it's actually been easier for me this year because we actually have larger numbers than we usually have. So years before, I would have a squad of 15. And so even if player 14 and 15 are coming training, they're not really getting pushed out of the team so much. So it gives them that leeway. But this year has actually been good in the sense we've got 20 plus players, so it's always fighting for positions. At most positions, we got enough numbers where somebody could fill in. So for instance, we played a game this weekend, and my Dylan, so my national team player, had missed a session, and so he came off the bench against St. George's. And that's something that I have to do as a coach to make sure that everybody else stays in line. But we had numbers at trainers, so trainers have been excellent. The intensity is always. I actually usually start my season with defensive drills just to make sure it's intense, because the faster the defense is, the quicker that the offense has to play. So I've had no problems with my group so far. Hopefully it stays that way, but it tends to.
I mean, and that's pretty impressive, right? Because at the end of the season, it kind of got rocky for you guys. Start off a little bit, and then you have also lost some influential players. So that's good to hear. That's very good to hear how you were able to rebound and to fill those voids as well. So yeah, good job, guys.
And to be honest, it's about keeping a group together. So I'll give you an example. We had a bye today, obviously, and this morning we actually went out and played golf at Belmont. So we just got the team together to do something outside of football, but to still keep that kind of harmony going. We do good every now and then we get the boys together. But it's for me, it's always more about life than football. And so a lot of things that happen, I'll give you an example, and Tom would be fond of me saying this, when Tom was going through his process with Mozzie last year, it was really a lot of the team that kind of brought him through that. And then you had Tonzi this year. And again, a lot of the team that was, by his side bringing them through that. And so, we have to remember that this is still an amateur sport that we're playing. And it's about more than just the actual football that's being played on the field. And I think I try to make sure that they remember that as teammates.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nika, you got a question?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. How important is it now that you guys have this youth mechanism and you see it filtering through? How important was it to get that up and running for a club like Robin Hood?
I think it's mandatory for any club, if I'm being honest. One of the biggest things is that, especially if I look at a Robin Hood and then even a BAA, for instance, where Kenny Thompson was the head of BAA, but you have to have some type of movement for the youth side coming up, so that if any piece of the puzzle, so if I leave Robin Hood, let's say, it's not about the players that want to play for me, it's about the players that play for the Bears, play for Robin Hood. And I felt like with BAA, it was a Kenny situation more than a BAA situation, which you had a lot of players, once Kenny moved, they moved with Kenny, or they moved to a different team. And so I think it's about making sure that the team is about the team and not about any individual person. So like you said, Coach Keita, we had Lily leave last year. Lily is a piece of the puzzle, but he was a big piece for us last year. But that doesn't change the rest of the puzzle. We have to pull somebody else in and then keep moving on.
One sec, Macy. 1 sec, Macy. Yeah. Yeah.
So we had a conversation about the lack of ruthlessness and strikers in this country. That we probably don't have an out-and-out striker. How do we fix that? And where does that problem come from for us?
That's an extremely good question, but and a lot of it is just the time and technique that it takes. Like that's the hardest part of the game, isn't it? To be able to score the ball, put the ball in the back of the net, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of technique and a lot of repetitions. Is there repetition going to come in 2 training sessions a week? No. And unlike the people that I see on this panel, we play it every day, even if it wasn't an organized situation. We play it during school, after school. You had training. Hopefully, you got a kick before the lights go on at night. But we was playing nonstop. It is about a lot of repetition. But you see a lot of these players. I'll tell you what they're practicing. They're practicing juggling and practicing around the worlds. But are they practicing finishing as much as they are. I know I used to have cinder blocks, and I use this with my kids a lot. I used to have cinder blocks that I used to hit, and I'll put them on different ones of the house. And my target was to hit the cinder blocks, but it's a small target. But now these kids are looking for big bills when you ask them for a little kick. They say they want to kick. It's not the cinder blocks and what they're shooting at. They're trying to shoot at big bills, and it's just the practice and just the repetition of it. So it takes time, and I'll be investing that much time in the players while they're here. And we have a few coaches, so I give Kay his credit, give Andrew's credit. We got coaches that are, putting that time in, but are the kids doing the same outside of this parameters?
I've got one more question. We see, and we'll use Work Academy, Robin Hood, and BAA, and Andrew's group as well. We see a lot of kids playing, and we'll say it. We have a lot of white kids playing at a young age. Why don't we see that coming into the senior programs, no matter what club it is?
Well, I know I can speak from Robin Hood now, where I know you'll be seeing a lot more of it coming through those ranks, especially with the World Academy group. But I think it's just what it is. It's I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of our black players have the skill sets at a young age, and therefore they get pushed through football, at a better space than a lot of the white kids. And the white kids have other opportunities as well, whether it be sailing, whether it be swimming. Or, they have various opportunities that financially they can get as well, if you look at it on that side of it. So, these white kids can play, so it's not like they can't play. But I do think football is, if I'm being honest, is a poor man's sport. Let's be real. And I'm not to say that any black kid that is poor, but the kids that I see, because I work at Solstice as well, those kids that I'm working with, they definitely have other opportunities to go into other things. And so I have a lot of the kids that I have with football that now play rugby, let's say, or they're triathletes. A couple of black kids, they ain't got bikes, so they can't be a triathlete. Like, simple things like that. And I can't give you a straight up answer as to why, but I know there's a lot of different reasons, whether it be socially or just, the way it's structured.
Right. Anyone else got a final question?
No, we're fine.
No.
Well, John, I want to thank you for your time. Good luck with the rest of the season. Actually, one more question. How do you project? Because you got to have an idea. Everybody wants to win.
That's going to be my answer then. My prediction is that we win every game.
You already said the next two matches are probably will kind of set your tune for the first half of the season. So we'll actually check you back after those two games to see.
Yeah. Let's have that Christmas discussion.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, right?
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
All right. We'll be back after this message from our sponsor.
Every resident of Bermuda deserves to spend their final days with dignity. They also deserve access to privacy for themselves and their loved ones. Although Agape House has lovingly wrapped its arms around thousands of patients and their families, it can no longer meet the needs of our community. There is an urgent need for a new facility, and we need your help to make that happen. Donate today by going to agiftforagape.com or calling 232-0859. Help give Agape House a new home. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Well, we're going to take a look at the current standings after the matches this weekend. Looking at the Premier League, Robin Hood are the leaders with 13 points, goal difference of 13. Dandytown Hornets are on 13 points with a goal difference of 10. In third place are Devonshire Cougars tied with North Village. Both have 11. Cougars have a goal difference of 6. North Village have a goal difference of 4. PHC Zebras and Somerset Trojans both picked up victories today. They both have 10 points. PHC Zebras are +2, but Somerset Trojans are -1. Southampton Rangers remained on 7. They have a goal difference of -1. St. George's Colts moved to 4. They have a goal difference of -5. Devonshire Colts picked up their second point with a goal difference of -1. Crossroads picked up their second point with a goal difference of -10. And at the bottom of the table is Somerset Eagles, who have yet to pick up a win in their 5 games, and they've only scored 3, giving up 18. They're -15. In the first division, you have Young Man Social Club, who have played 2 more games than Hamilton Parish. They are the current leaders with 12 points. Hamilton Parish, with their 3 games, 3 wins, they have 9 points. St. David's picked up 3 valuable points. They're on 7. Boulevard Blazers, who got those 2 early league wins, still remain on 6 after 2 straight losses. Island Rangers got those 3 points in that match against Wolves that the field was unprepared. The association announced that on Friday, so they moved to 4. Wolves, they remain on 1 alongside Flanagan's Onions. Wolves have a goal difference of -4. Flanagan's have a goal difference of -7. And Vasco are without a point and a goal difference of -16 for the season. So that's the 2 standings. We're going to get to the picks as well. As I did say, the association informed us that the match between Island Rangers and Wolves was handed to Island Rangers. And with that pick, Punchy, Maceo, and Danica all took Island Rangers, and they were all given an extra point. So going into this weekend, I was on 15, Punchy on 14, Maceo on 17, Danica on 15, and Kita was on 16. So we go to the results from this weekend. Well, last night, only Maceo picked a draw. Maceo, the rest of us were sitting pretty until the injury time equalizer. So Maceo picked up a point from the Dandytown North Village. The rest of us picked Dandytown. Somerset Trojans and Somerset Eagles. Everyone picked Somerset Trojans, so we all got a point. Devonshire Colts and Devonshire Cougars. 4 of us took Devonshire Cougars. Punchy, you took Devonshire Colts. St. George's Colts and Crossroads. Myself, Danica, and Kita picked St. George's. Punchy and Maceo, you picked Crossroads. Everyone was wrong with that. And the final Premier Division game, Southampton Rangers and PHC Zebras, all 5 took PHC Zebras. In the first division, Hamilton Parish and Boulevard, all 5 picked Hamilton Parish, and we all picked up a point. St. David's and Vasco, we all picked St. David's with the exception of Kita. You took a draw, so 4 of us got a point. And then Social Club and Flanagan's Onions, everyone picked a Social Club victory, and that was the result, 4-0 to Social Club. So in the end, I picked up 5 points, Punchy picked up 5 points, Maceo picked up 6 points, Danica picked up 5, and Kita picked up 4. So the totals now, we'll see Maceo on 23, myself, Danica, and Kita are on 20, and Punchy is on 19. So it's still long ways to go. Maceo, you're out front, your horse is tracking down there, so not to worry, it's a long season to come. Let's take a look at the matches that will take place this coming weekend. And as Coach John Barry Newsom said, North Village will travel on Saturday night to the BAA field to take on Robin Hood. Let's start with you, Coach Kita.
North Village.
Coach Kita's gonna take Village. Danica?
Taking Robin Hood.
Maceo?
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. But I think North Village right now, the Walking Wounded, they played 2 tough matches. Robin Hood dressed it up. I think that's going to be the difference. So I'm going to pick
Punchy?
Robin Hood.
I wasn't good for a draw on that, but I think I've changed my mind because they have, I guess, Maceo said about Robin Hood is rested. I believe that I'm going to go with Robin Hood on this one.
I'm gonna take Robin Hood as well. Southampton Rangers are at home to the Dandytown Hornets. Punchy?
That's Dandytown.
Maceo?
Similar thing. I watched Rangers today. Older, influential players of the Walking Wounded. Dandytown are clever, are covering when their players are injured. Even without Tino and Lowe, they were still able to compete against Village. I think Dandytown will slice Rangers wide open and put Rangers in a relegation battle. Dandytown for sure.
I'm sorry, Danica
I'm gonna take Dandytown as well.
and Coach Keita.
Dannytown.
Okay. The next match, Somerset Eagles are at home to Crossroads. Danica.
I'm gonna take Crossroads.
Okay. Maceo?
Yeah, Somerset Eagles is down tools. If they can't get up, if Somerset Eagles can't get up for Somerset, who are their rivals, they are down tools, and that Crossroads gonna have pride about them. So I'm taking Crossroads to beat this match.
Punchy?
Well, I think I'm gonna take Crossroads. Like Somerset Eagles just seem to be just all over the place right now. And they, there used to be a rivalry between, you could bet that used to be like a draw, but sometimes you would get the exception that Somerset Eagles will beat. But right now, I don't see Somerset Eagles winning this one. I'm gonna go with Crossroads.
And Coach Keita?
Yeah, Crossroads. Eagles is definitely in a spot of bother, and in Bermuda, like being in the position that you're in, Somerset Eagles, do you guys have the mentality? Do you even have the fight? Crossroads is going to go into that game very confident. So I'm definitely going to have to pick Crossroads.
Okay. And I'm going to take Crossroads to win 1-0. So all 5 Crossroads. Devonshire Cougars are at home to the PHC Zebras. Punchy.
Oh, that's tough. That's a draw.
Okay.
I think a draw game on that.
Maceo?
Devonshire Cougars are also walking wounded. I've watched it there. They had to start D'Amico Collington today. They pushed him farther than they probably want to push him. But because of the injuries that are happening with their PAC is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. I asked the question of PAC today, do they think they're title contenders now? Of course, they downplayed it, but I think they're also title contenders. I'm picking PAC.
Danica?
I'm gonna take PAC also.
Coach Keita?
Yeah, this is a tough one. With the loss of Juande today, and just the bits and pieces that I did see against Colts, Cougars gonna have to dig deep. The missing chances, the missing opportunities to actually take the game. So I'm gonna go with PAC. They are going from strength to strength.
I'm going to take PHC as well because just looking at it, right after that match, Devonshire Cougars are in the final against Dandytown, and I think they're going to be kind of resting, or players will, in the back of their mind, will be looking to play that final. And as we've seen down the road, when players are carrying a slight injury, they tend to be very timid, especially a midweek final is on the line. So I'm going to go with PHC as well. Devonshire Colts are at home to St. George's Colts. Maceo.
Oh, boy. Both of these teams can't win. Both of them can't win, so I'm picking a draw.
Okay. Danica?
I'm gonna pick Devonshire Colts, only because of the fact that Devonshire Colts has a young team, and the players are fast. And watching St. George's play, and yeah, I'm gonna take Devonshire Colts.
Coach Keita.
Freddie is doing an amazing job for St. George's, and he's really hard to beat. Colts do have a pretty fluid front line. I'm actually gonna pick a draw.
Okay. Punchy?
I'm gonna go with Keita. I'm gonna take this one as a draw, just as Keita said about Freddie Hall. I still think that if you draw the line between the 18-yard box and the 18-yard box for Devonshire Colts, The coach hasn't figured out what he's going to do. What's going to happen? I'm looking at the draw in that game. Really.
I'm gonna go with a St. George's 1-0 win.
You're trying to get back in St. George's, hey?
No.
You're trying to get back.
Hey, his car got
I'm already
revoked.
back, brother. I'm already back.
His car got revoked. It's trying to get it back.
I'm already back. I'm straight in St. George's.
Your pictures at the bridge, boy. You can't get here.
And listen, I'll go to my friends over St. David's and swim across the channel. I'll be straight on in. We're going to move to the first division. Flanagan's Onions are at home to Ireland Rangers. We'll start with Danica.
I'm gonna take Ireland Rangers.
Okay. Keita?
Ireland Rangers. Army wants to draw.
Maceo?
Yeah, Ireland Rangers are gonna have an athletic ability over Flanagan's Onions. Ireland Rangers for sure.
Punchy?
I'm gonna go with that Ireland Rangers. Yeah.
I'm actually going to take Flanagan's to win this one.
You're looking at a team organized.
Yeah.
They're trying to get some points.
Yeah, I'm going to take Flanagan's. Playing on that surface, they've proven, even when they lost to Boulevard, they kind of play a little different at the BAA field, and I think they'll figure this one out. Both teams are struggling at the bottom of the table. If you look at it, Flanagan's have scored 5 goals. Ireland Rangers, with that 3-0 win, they have 4 goals for them, but really they only have 1 goal. And the point difference, although Ireland Rangers have only given up 1 goal, Flanagan's have given up 12. But I think if you look at it, the 4-4 draw and the 4-1 loss to Boulevard as well, I think they'll be all right this time around. So I'm going to take Flanagan's. Wolves are at home to St. David's. We'll go with you, Punchy.
You know what? I'm gonna take Wolves on this. I'm gonna take Wolves.
Okay. Maceo?
St. David's. I'm picking St. David's to get this one right.
Danica?
I'm gonna take St. David's also.
Coach Keita?
I think I'm gonna go with Wolves.
Okay.
She's legally binded not to root for St. David's.
Well, I took them 1 week. I'm gonna take them another week. I'm gonna go St. David's, man. Jingums. I caught a lot of stick taking St. David's and Somerset this past week. So yeah, St. David's better not let me down. The final match, Social Club are at home to the Boulevard Blazers. Maceo.
Oh boy, a rivalry. That's going to be a rivalry. Oh boy, Social Club's going from strength to strength, man. They're a bit organized. There's a little bit of them today, but I've always loved the Boulevard players, man. Boulevard will beat Social Club.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Boulevard. They will come clean and beat Social Club.
Coach Keita?
I'm gonna go with Boulevard as well. Where I played a game against Hamilton Parish. Who were kind of flying high, so they'll go into this match. Although Social Club 4-0 win will also be feeling themselves. I still feel Boulevard will take them.
Danica?
I'm gonna take Boulevard as well.
Punchy?
I'm gonna take Social Club. And I'll tell you why. A couple of days ago, I saw one of the Social Club players. He says, "You guys don't talk about us. You talk about us." I said, "We're not even at the top of the pack. You know, we're really putting our work in." I said, "Okay, we'll see." So I did like his enthusiasm. He was watching this. He watched the program, and so I'm taking Social Club on this.
I'm going to take Social Club as well. They, like you said, they're organized. They're playing with a lot of confidence right now. I saw them play out Bernard Park. I saw them play at Police Field. They're getting better and understanding. The one thing that they need to get themselves rid of, even when they're winning, is the arguing. And I know, Danica, you alluded to that with Boulevard today. The arguing amongst each other kind of stifles you from playing as a team. Because once, you know how people are, once I'm making off to Maceo, the guys that are cool with Maceo don't want to pass me the ball, and you know, and it's just a filtered on effect. So whichever team can control the players the longest will actually win that match. And I'm picking Social Club to do that. And I see Coach Keita smiling because she knows it. She knows it to be true. Ain't I right?
Oh yeah. Hey, my under 15 girls played my under 17 girls the other night. And my under 15 girls technically or tactically don't have it, but all I told them was press them. But 5 minutes into the match, them under 17s were arguing. They were so I totally get that. The team that can keep it together the longest out of this team. Where's that game at? Please Field? Where's that game?
Field.
I have training. I'm getting to that one. I'm getting to that game next week. Oh yeah.
It should actually, Police Field should be very interesting because those two play first, and then it's the Colts and Colts match after that. So it should be an interesting afternoon of football in Devonshire, and then just down the road is PHC and Devonshire Cougars. So interesting matchups. All right, guys. That's it for tonight's show. We'll be back next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. with another edition of the Island Stats Football Show. Enjoy your weekend.
You
What's
too.
left of it?
Yes. Have a good weekend, everybody. Everybody
Bye.
well.
Yes. Have a good week. Good night.
Bye-bye.